welcome back to Womenomics podcast, Soul Care for Entrepreneurs. I am your co-host here, Brian, owner of T. Brian Notary Services.
And I'm your co-host, Corinne Jones of Freedom Notary Services.
Yes, and today we have a super dope special guest. First, we have to shout out to the Tide Capital Mastermind. No, we're not affiliates, but we are in there, and this is how we met this wonderful man. I mean, he always brings so much wisdom to our calls, and the action that he takes is inspiring. So please introduce yourself, CJ. Let us know who you are.
Absolutely. My name is Chris Johnson, aka your car man, CJ. I am a car industry vet, been around for a very long time, 20 plus years in the industry. And, pretty much I'm a pretty introverted, quiet person, but I'm excited to be on the podcast and share some gems with people to help them in a number of ways, but specifically in the car buying process.
And that's awesome. We're super excited to have you. So today we're going to be talking about pivoting. We're going to be talking about pivoting for a number of reasons. So just correct me if I'm wrong, CJ, you currently still have your 9-to-5 or a W-2 job.
That is correct. I currently have a 9-to-5 job that I work, daily, obviously. I do not ignore that. I think it's very important for people who are trying to do things on their own, but they currently have a 9-to-5. You still need to maintain your responsibilities at your 9-to-5 while you're trying to pivot away. So I think that's very important. But I do maintain a position. I work with Chase Bank, actually, which is our largest bank in America. And I'm actually one of the regional finance managers for auto finance for Chase.
That is so dope. Okay, perfect. I really wanted to ask because most of the time our first question is, when did you know you could be an entrepreneur? And I think that you bring a different element because you are in a 9-to-5 space, and there are so many people who feel like they can't do both, or they're not going to be able to, have a business. So, and they don't know if they're going to be able to develop that 9-to-5, that entrepreneur, mindset. So I would love to ask, when did you know you could be an entrepreneur?
I actually knew really early, to believe it or not, because I've always had a business mindset. I was a marketing major, business major in college, and I've always thought from an entrepreneurial standpoint. The thing is, people need to make a decision when depends on what their point they're at in life. Meaning, if you're younger with no kids and not a lot of responsibilities, no mortgages, you can probably take the leap a little deeper into the entrepreneurial warriors without having maybe a 9-to-5 as a backdrop, or wherever the case may be. But if you're an older person, maybe you have a family, maybe you're married, you have a mortgage and things like that, you might need that 9-to-5 as that safety blanket in case the entrepreneurial thing takes longer than expected or doesn't pan out for whatever reason. But when I was younger, I've always thought, hey, you know what? I want to be a business person. I want to run my own business. I didn't know what that meant when I was younger, but I always wanted to do that. I did not necessarily have the focus when I was younger to know what to do. I tried a lot of different things along the way, but I still had to maintain life, which is why I've always maintained a job as I've progressed through my entrepreneurial, life. There's been a gap in my life where I just didn't have the motivation. I wasn't inspired. I didn't do anything outside of just work. And I'm just being honest with it. We all kind of have that sometimes where you don't have that motivation, even though you may want to do something, you still need to have the drive, the motivation, the hunger to do it. And there's certain parts of life that I just didn't do it, or my focus was other things. I want to play ball. I want to be over in Europe. I want to do certain things. So I've always had that fire within me. I just never had the complete focus until recently. And maybe I can blame the pandemic for it, or wherever the case may be, where you're forced to sit at home and do certain things. Mm-hmm. But once that fire was lit and I regained my focus, I was full steam ahead.
So CJ, what was the shift for you? So now you still have your 9-to-5, but you are definitely pouring into your business. So how do you maintain both? Like, what's the motivation to do it? Because it's not always easy, because you can easily just kind of fall back and just maintain the day-to-day of your full-time job, which takes up a significant amount of your day, your life. So what motivates you now to continue to pour into your business?
That's an awesome question, because I have a very good job. I actually like my job. I'm not the kind of person who I dislike my job. I'm not doing this because I want to get away from my job per se. It's still a job in the confines of, you have to request days off and you have to do certain things as part of your normal work description. But I don't dislike my job by any stretch of the imagination. And my job actually helps me because it is right in line to what I am teaching and doing on the auto finance side. I mean, I am literally the bank. When people don't listen to me about auto finance and things like that, I just like shake my head, because I say to myself, I'm the person basically who approves your loans, but you don't want to listen to me on how to get a car. I just kind of throw my hands up and say, okay, whatever. But I'm also a person, being an ex-military guy, I believe in, respect and certain things like that. So I would never just abandon my job for my entrepreneurial side of things. That's just not in my nature. But it is difficult sometimes to juggle because you run out of time. Okay. My job also requires me to travel. I'm up and down the West Coast all the time. And so it makes it difficult to try to do the entrepreneurial stuff. But again, the job is still number one right now. And I need to give what I need to give to them based on what they pay me to do. And then all the other time is basically going towards my entrepreneurial side. So that's pretty much how it works with that.
Yeah. No, I love that. I remember when I first started and I was thinking about going full time, which I have now done, but I was just like, man, like you want to give 100% to your business, but at the end of the day, your job is what's paying your bills right now. In some cases for people, it's funding their business. So you definitely want to do your due diligence, in that regard. But it was one thing you said earlier that I kind of wanted to circle back to. You were speaking about always having that entrepreneurial mindset, and looking at things from an entrepreneurial perspective. And I wanted you just to get a little bit more into that, because I think that is a good indicator that people have the ability and can see things from the viewpoint of an entrepreneur, but sometimes they can't identify it. And when they can't identify it, they can't figure out, the skills to build on it or the ways to nurture it. So I would love for you to speak a little bit about that.
Oh, absolutely. And sometimes it's from external forces that kind of jog your memory or push you into a certain direction. So being in the automotive world and in the dealership world, this is one of the reasons that kind of really got me really motivated to go. And I won't name drop quite yet, but there was a famous person who I dealt with when I was at Mercedes-Benz. I used to work in Beverly Hills, as a matter of fact. So if you work at Mercedes-Benz in Beverly Hills, the clientele that comes through there is ridiculous. So one individual who I was working with really enjoyed working with me. He liked how I did business. And even though I wasn't technically a salesperson, I basically helped him out when someone else didn't help him out. And so he appreciated that. And he was a Black person, so maybe he felt more comfortable with me. But ultimately, we developed a relationship, okay, a business relationship. It ultimately became a friendship as well. But down the road, what happens is he comes to me and says, look, I need another car, a non-Mercedes vehicle. So I say, okay. I just kind of like, okay, you want a such and such car, but I only work for Mercedes, right? I don't know what you want me to do. So he says, look, at our level, we don't trust a lot of people, okay? When you're in the industry, you don't trust a lot of people. People always trying to get over on you. So when you find someone who you work with, who you trust, you stay with that person. And he tells me, I want this car. It's actually a Bentley. He says, look, I want a Bentley, okay? You're my car guy. That's where the name came from. You're my car guy. You need to go find me a Bentley. And he leaves. And I say to myself, what am I going to do right now? I work for Mercedes. I don't even know nobody at Bentley at the time, right? So I kind of, okay, let me sit down, figure this out, and make some calls. And basically what I discovered was there's a situation where you can obtain what's called a broker's license, automotive broker's license, very similar to a real estate broker, okay? You're the middleman. You're the person who goes and brokers a deal on behalf of someone else, okay? Mm-hmm. And so to do that in California, at least to get paid to do it in California, you had to have a license. It's called the occupational license through the state of California. So I basically researched all this, and because of that conversation, it led me down the road to obtain my occupational license from the state of California. I created my broker company based on that conversation with him alone. I literally set up a company to get this man one car. That's literally how it started. And so that little push from him is kind of what really got the dormant, entrepreneurial juices inside me flowing again. And then that led to a whole bunch of other things, because that person led to another situation that led to another situation. And then the broker company starts to just blossom. And so a lot of times you just don't know where it's going to come from. If it's dormant inside you, it may take something to really get that out. But if someone doesn't really have that entrepreneurial spirit and they want to do something entrepreneurial, it's a little tougher, I believe, with them. They're forcing themselves to do certain things, as opposed to someone who has that in them automatically, and they always want to do that. When I was just working in the dealership, I always wanted to find a way to progress further. Okay, I just go to my general manager. Hey, can we do this, this, and this? Because that's going to help us sell more cars, or that's going to help the dealership's branding get higher, or whatever we need to do to win, to be number one. When you're in the car sales world, it's all about number one. Who's the number one salesperson? Who's the number one dealer? Who's the number one? And so we're always looking for ways to get that advantage. So that's kind of how my mind thinks. And that works out very well as an entrepreneur, as you're trying to find ways to promote your brand, promote your business, and get to basically number one.
I like that. And I think a big part of entrepreneurship is being solution-based. And that's one of the first things I learned, that was the shift I had to make, because naturally, I never naturally felt like an entrepreneur. It wasn't any aspirations that I had. But if you look at everything as like a problem or a barrier to being successful, then you literally will not survive as an entrepreneur. And so the way you approach that by just saying, okay, so how can I get this man in this car? And one thing led to another. You didn't let all the obstacles, like, well, I don't have a license, so I can't do it. You're going to have to go and find a guy over there to help you. No, one thing led to another. And along the way of finding solutions, you actually created more opportunity and abundance for yourself. So, I hope that's inspiring to all the people watching, because that's a totally different mindset to have to get to your goal versus believing that it's not possible. So thank you so much for sharing that. But in that same thing, can you share any moments of defeat you may have experienced along the way? And how did you pivot from that? Because even though you can be solution-based and have an optimistic mindset, we're still human, life still happens, we still get discouraged. So what can you talk about that you could share with other people that maybe have hindered you, or you may have felt like it wasn't worth it or giving up? And it may not necessarily been related to getting the licensing to sell cars or be a broker, but maybe other obstacles along the way.
Absolutely. There's always obstacles, and I try not to let those discourage me. Again, being a former military guy, okay, I grew up in a big city, I played sports, you're always going to have obstacles or challenges. And you can decide one of two ways. You can kind of tuck your tail, right? Or you could just step up to the challenge and see what happens. And even if you don't succeed, then you learn something to go back and try it again. That's always been my mindset. So, but from the perspective of this situation, one of the obstacles was, I remember this very clearly, to obtain your occupational license, it's almost like having a dealer license. So they require you to have a physical lot. They used to require you to have a physical lot to get this license, as if you are like a used car dealer. And, I say, well, I'm not going to have a physical lot. That's not ever going to happen. So there's a caveat within the rules that says you can have an office. Okay, if you will waive your used car basically provision of this license and only have the broker part of it, we'll waive the lot, but you have to have an office. And so I didn't have an office. I didn't want to pay for an office, and I wanted to do it out of my house and everything else. And they said, nope, you can't do that. So the obstacle was I needed a location, but I didn't have the money, the resources to pay for an actual office. So I discovered Regis at the time. I didn't know anything about Regis or that whole concept about how they work with their offices, but I discovered them and found out I could basically get like a timeshare office. I don't know how would phrase that, but or a virtual office, I think is the term that they use now. So I was able to get that at a much lower amount of money, which allowed me to then get my license, which allowed me to get his car and allow me to get, moving forward with that company. So that was a huge obstacle that I overcame because I continued to push and find a way to get past it, as opposed to just saying, oh, well, I don't have a car lot, so I can't do this.
Right.
That's easy way to say it, but I found a way. There's always, in my experience in life, there's almost always a way around certain things. And that goes towards my whole concept of everything in life is negotiable. Everything in life is negotiable. You can find a way, find a way. It may not be easy. You might have to dig and dig and dig, and it may take you a long time, but there's almost always a way to get around some type of obstacle. And again, the car world, they teach you a no, you got to overcome obstacles. Okay. A no is just, you haven't given me enough reason to say yes yet. So to me, no almost is a word that doesn't exist. Okay, you tell me no, I need to find another way to get to your yes. And so as soon as I find your pain point, I overcome your obstacle, I give you enough value, there's your yes, and we have a deal.
Oh,
Where's my notebook? It's my notebook.
that was the recipe right there.
Right.
Great.
Like
That was great. And I like how you were talking about just like everything is, negotiable. So I do want to pivot a little bit and talk about what are your non-negotiables for your morning routine, or how do you set up your days for success, and, something, or do you have a routine that you do that's mandatory, and when you don't do it, it kind of, takes you off a little bit. And yeah, like I said, what are those non-negotiables? Like, what are you absolutely doing?
Ooh, that is tough. From a routine standpoint, I don't think there's any one non-negotiable from my basic routines, if you will, because my job and my life, how it's set up, it's constantly in flux. It's a constant change situation. So when I have my clients calling me, if I have a general manager calling me, if I have a dealer owner calling me about a situation, it changes every single day. It's never the same thing. So I have to be prepared to multitask almost every single day. I have to be prepared for the inevitable problems that's going to come up, that's going to require me to then move that situation to the front of the line and then move something else, down the ladder while I address that. I prioritize everything based on the importance of what the issue is as I'm dealing with it on a day-to-day basis. And so how that pivots from my entrepreneurial side of things is I can have a little more structure in that because I control it. And so from a non-negotiable standpoint, I really prefer not to work with, people, whether that be on a business side or on the customer side. If you have doubts, if you are constantly wishy-washy, for lack of better terms, if you won't commit to something and then do it, or you commit to something and then you don't do it, your word's everything. Your word is literally everything. So people who don't kind of stand by their word, what they're going to do, that's kind of a non-negotiable for me in dealing with you on any level. I don't care, even if you're a customer, you have to understand certain things. And if you are going to take this step and you're going to, purchase a product or a course that's going to help you, and then not listen to that information and then want to push back and debate, you're not really the ideal customer for me. And, I will be better off giving you your money back and have us go our separate ways, as opposed to fighting back and forth about what that is. So that's probably the biggest non-negotiable from the entrepreneurial side. My particular job, it's a change every single day, and I got to be prepared. So there really are no non-negotiables on that side.
And because you have non-negotiables and you know the type of clients you want to work with, like how has that helped you reach certain levels of success? So could you talk about like knowing that you define the type of ideal customer that you want to work with? Because there are some entrepreneurs that just take what they can get and they haven't narrowed it down, and they're not okay with saying like, no, I don't want to sell to you. I don't want to offer my services to you. They may feel like they may be losing out on opportunity, but you having that clear definition of who you want to serve, like how has that assisted you with gaining success in your business? Can you talk about that?
Oh, absolutely. It really comes down to individual people that you're working with and that you're dealing with. And people may see value in something initially. And a lot of times it's people in their ear. People get people talking in their ear and they affect those people. So they may be excited, which is why we as entrepreneurs, entrepreneurs, we don't like to have friends and family, for the most part, always chirping in our ear because they think they're trying to protect us, but in reality, you are a negative. You're bringing your negative worries to me, and I don't need that. I just need your support, basically. I don't need your your additional comments about what you think may or may not happen, because we're the ones who put the time into this. We're the ones who put the research in and put the effort in, and we know what we're doing. So we don't need someone to try to protect us from that. Okay. You see a lion behind me, yeah, warn me about that. But the rest of it is fine. From the customer perspective, it is, why would you invest in something and then not follow through on that? Okay. Why do you think you are in the position to break down the information that's being given to you, and then you say, oh, well, this is not good? Well, you haven't even applied it yet. You've done no research on anything. Maybe you glanced over something, but you haven't even tried to apply it yet. But now you think it doesn't work because primarily you got some outside influence in your ear telling you that, oh man, they got over on you, or they did this, or they did that. So it's really about building the value is the number one thing that I try to do right now. I try to build value because the company is new. Okay, the information that I am presenting out to the world is recent and new, but the information is tried and true and tested. I have been through it for 20 years. Okay, I live it every single day of my life. I know that if they do this, they'll put themselves in a better position, for their best car deal. So I don't argue with people who want to debate with me about that. Okay, you can debate all day long, but why even go out the way to purchase something if you're going to just debate with it? I would never do that. Everything I've ever purchased, every course, everything I've ever purchased, I have read it in detail, and I have purchased it knowing that, hey, I trust this person, and I trust the information this person is going to send me, and I'm going to read it and validate it and apply it. Otherwise, I would have never purchased it, because I go through a vetting process about anything that I purchase. I'm frugal, okay? And even if it's a $10 course or wherever the case may be, I'm going to try to vet it as much as I can so that I become the ideal customer that they want, a customer that's going to listen, follow through, and apply what I have just purchased, as opposed to just skimming through it and then dismissing it.
Yeah. No, that's true, because a lot of the times we have like, what do they call it? Like information, like paralysis, where it's like we just are literally taking in so much information that, one, we don't really even have time to apply it. We can't even do its due diligence and really seeing if it's working, if it's effective. And we do take a lot of time and energy and money trying to gather these resources to then not be able to leverage them, or taking the time to leverage them. So that's really big, and it's great because it kind of funnels into my next question of just about, who did you have to become to reach the next level in your business, in your 9-to-5 business, right? Because you've ranked up and you've done a lot of things. Actually, I would love to hear that, because I know you spoke about, working in Beverly Hills and having, some more luxury clientele. You spoke about playing basketball, like very briefly. So I would love to hear just a little bit about a couple of things that you have done in your life and how all of those things have really helped you become who you are now and is fueling you to go up to that next level.
Oh, that's a good question.
Oh, absolutely. So I'll give a quick rundown, quick little bio rundown, and that will help, pivot into that. So I'm from Los Angeles. Okay, I've been here, I grew up in Los Angeles. I have traveled the world, but LA is my home and LA is my base. I grew up in the Inglewood area of Los Angeles. Think of the Forum where the Lakers used to play. Think of where the new football stadium is. I literally could throw a rock to the new football stadium from my old house where I used to live in Inglewood. So that is home for me, and it's right in the middle of the city. Okay, it is the urban area. That's what people like to say, or we call the hood, or wherever you want to call it. Right, that's where it is. And I wouldn't trade that anything. I learned a lot by growing up in that environment, and when you survive it, you learn a lot. So that's pretty much where I grew up. I'm an LA kid, and but I wasn't a bad kid. So I learned a lot, but I also wanted more out of life. So I went to college. I actually went to the military after high school. Because my grades were not that good. Okay, they were good, but they were not that good. And I just wasn't in position because I wasn't always focused. And that's one key you'll hear about me in my life. And I'm very honest about, admitting these certain things, is I was not, it's a lot of parts of my life where I wasn't focused. as a young person, as a young adult, as a middle adult, and now as a middle-aged adult, I'm laser focused. But back then I had my moments where I wasn't focused. So ultimately went to the military. I had a great time. I went to Europe. Okay. I actually played basketball in the military. And that was the bulk of my time in the military was playing basketball, because I just dropped in their lap and they're like, great, come on, you can play for the all army team and basically not even have to work in the military. I was like, great, let's do that. Right. And it was a different time of the world. There were no wars, there was no terrorist situation like we have now. And so the military was pretty cake by then. The military became a problem in 91. After 91, it became a problem. But before then, it was all cool. So I did that. I eventually got out, went to college. Like I mentioned, I was a business and marketing guy in college. I played a little, small time college basketball. And this is part of my focus. If I was more focused when I was younger, as opposed to just saying, hey, I'm a good player and I'm going to get this, or I'm entitled to this. It didn't work that way. So no matter how good I was, I ended up at a small college because I wasn't focused. And all my friends are playing, D1 college, and they're going to the league. And I'm saying, I used to kill that dude right there. And he's, playing at Kentucky, because he was focused and I wasn't. You know what? You just got to face up and face the realities of it and move on in life. So that's pretty much what it is. And so eventually I got into the car biz because I was coaching high school basketball and I needed a job that was flexible. Okay, hours wise, very flexible hours. Very hard to find a job that's going to pay you decent money that has truly flexible hours where you can just leave and come and go as you kind of please. I found that in the car biz. A friend of a friend hooked me up with a guy who ran a dealership. He hired me sight unseen based on a reference from somebody else. And I started my car buying journey that way. And it's addictive. Okay, you get into the car business, it's addictive because of the money. You make a lot of money if you know what you're doing, selling cars. And then as you get through management aspects of it, and it's hard to get out and go to a regular job because no one's paying that kind of money. So that's how I got in. That's how they got their hooks in me. And basically, I've stayed in the industry the entire time. Now, I didn't sell cars the entire time, okay, but I just kind of went through various parts of positions within that industry, whether it be in the dealership and outside the dealership. So that means I worked for the #1 public auto group in the country. I worked for the #1 private automotive group in the country. I was one of the top producing salespeople in the United States, as well as a nationally ranked finance manager. I was an inventory. I ran the largest inventory of Mercedes-Benz in the country. And I got a lot of friends when I had that position, because when they know you control the largest Mercedes-Benz inventory in the country, man, you get a lot of friends real quick. So I ran that position as well. And then eventually I got out the dealership world. I went over to the rep, we call it the rep world. I've been a bank finance rep. I've been a consultant to the dealers and a trainer to the dealers. I already mentioned that I had a luxury auto broker company. And during my time at Mercedes-Benz, they thought so highly of me that they selected me to sit on their dealer advisory board for Mercedes-Benz. And so these are just all things that I've done within the car world, which again, I scratch my head when people don't want to listen to me about. If you're gonna listen to me about anything, listen to me about cars and basketball. That's it. If there's nothing else I know in this world, those are the two things I know. But I joke about that, but seriously, don't listen to me about brain surgery. Don't listen to me about notary services. Listen to me about buying cars and basketball. So I'll just leave it at that.
So see, I just want to make sure I didn't miss it. You may have said it, but the tail end of Tiara's question was, who did you have to become to get to where you are? And I know you talked about the difference between your then versus your now was focus. So what shifted in your ability to focus and kind of, I guess, have more of a laser vision on what you wanted and where you were going? So let's talk a little bit about that, because one would say I'm focused, but some days I feel like I'm all over the place. I have a mission, I have a goal, and then I get scattered and go through these little dark periods, ice ages, stone ages, and I don't know if I'm coming or going. So how did you manage to go from not really feeling like you are on the path you should be on, when you mentioned the guy that's playing for D1 and you used to beat him, and now you found your kind of your groove, and you just started to see success after success, like your resume that you just ran down is incredible. So you had to be somebody, you had to become something different. So can you talk about if that was focused? Can you talk about what was the shift for you and what your habits look like?
Yes, actually, and thank you for reminding me of that. I was stating that information to get to this point, to answer
Okay.
this question as well. A lot of times it is just taking stock of your life at whatever point of life that you're in. And sometimes, and being honest with yourself, we have to be honest with ourselves. And I think like everyone else, sometimes I think I was more honest with myself than others in life. And maybe age has kind of helped me with that aspect of it. But, I got a little bitter about a lot of my friends going to the league, a lot of my friends playing D1 ball and stuff like that, because I knew I was good. But just being good is not good enough. You have to have the entire package to certain things. And so I got bitter. And I didn't want to talk to certain guys, right? They would call me, hey, let's go do this. I'm like, nah, I don't want to go with you, right? Because I'm not jealous of them. I'm bitter at myself, but I'm projecting it onto them because they had more focus and they did certain things, or they may have gotten an opportunity, or whatever the case may be. It's not their fault, but I'm bitter at them because they're in that situation, so I don't want to be around them. So taking personal stock at various points in my life has helped me refocus. And it's almost like a stair step, meaning I never have fallen completely back. It would just been a situation where I take stock, I realize, and I'm honest with myself about something, and so then I take a step up, right? And then I may be stagnant at that point. I don't go backwards, but I'm just staying on that same step. Something else will happen in life, whereas it motivates me, or it forces me to, again, take stock, be honest with myself, and then I take another step up. And so until it's opposed to completely falling backwards, it's just been slow steps up the ladder more than anything else. And the thing that has motivated has been situations in life, and me being honest with those situations, going through various things in life and saying to myself, you can do better. You need to stop being bitter at this. You need to stop, falling into complacency. Okay, oh, I got a good job. I may be having, I have a job paying 6 figures, or I have this, I have that, so I'm comfortable. Ooh, I hate that. Comfortable is bad. And so something will always happen that forces me to take another step up and another step up. And the steps are always going like this, just like a stock market. So at some point, I had to realize that this is going to be a very slow process, and you need to stop being stagnant. You need to take a step and then keep it pushing and take another step really quick, and then take another step really quick, as opposed to just waiting, because at some point you're going to run out of time and life is over. So you need to move quicker. And that's the point where I'm at right now, really taking stock of my situation and saying, you need to do it. And I'm not bitter about anything, or this is why the mastermind is so great, because you're surrounded by people who are supportive. They are motivated, they're trying to do their thing as well. And there's no negativity anywhere in there. There's accountability, but there's no negativity. And that is great.
Yeah, that's it. I think you really just summed up what the benefit is of getting into environments with entrepreneurs who, have the same vision and spirit as you. They don't necessarily have the same projects, targets, goals as you, but just they still have that entrepreneurial vision, and they still have that grit. You know what I mean? So I love that. We spoke a lot about, everything that you have going on, where you have been up into this point. So let's get into this point. I would love to hear a little bit more about the Car Buyer University. So for people who are unaware of exactly what it is that you're teaching, and, how they can get some of the information that you have been speaking about. Because one thing we do, we vet the people that we bring on our podcast. Your car man CJ ain't no joke. You done heard him tell his resume. You done seen, the accomplishments that he's had. So like you said, if you're going to listen to car buyer information from anybody, we're going to start here with Car Buyer University. So CJ, please tell us a little bit more about it.
Absolutely. What it is, Car Buyer University is an online automotive educational platform where we help people understand the car buying process. Now, most people will say, I bought a car before, I know how to buy a car. Well, of course, you know how to buy a car. But I would push back and say, if I looked at all the deals that people have told me that, okay, let me look at your contract. And I guarantee you that you did not get the best deal possible. You got a deal, you didn't get the best deal possible. And that's because most people are what I call payment buyers, all right? It's easy. You say you have this amount of money, okay, I want this payment, and they build your deal to give you that. That's what dealerships do. But that doesn't mean that's the best deal you could have gotten. And so what we teach is basically it's called the 4 steps of buying a car. Okay. And if you follow these 4 steps of buying a car, you typically will end up with your best possible car payment, which might be different than, you know, the person next to you, because everyone's situation is different. Everyone's credit is different. Everyone's income is different. Everyone's situation is different. So I don't promote a single thing. Hey, you know what? Buy my course and save $2,000. Okay, well, they might save 2,000, they might save 10,000, they might save 500. All depends on their situation, but they will definitely save as opposed to how they normally would buy a car. So that is what Car Buyer University does. It is a service-based situation. And this is another thing. I've always gotten into businesses in the past to make money. Oh, I need to start a business because I want to make money. And my mind shift happened with Car Buyer University, whereas yes, it's a business entity that I would love to, you know, make profits and help down the road, but that's not the main focus of it. The main focus of it is to help people, because I've been inside this industry for so long that I've seen 2 primary demographics suffer from the automotive industry, and that is women and that is African American. And you guys are double whammy because you're African American women, okay? And so if you go into a dealership and you don't have a man with you, they just think that they can, all right, here comes the money tree. We're going to just get every bit of profit out of this person as possible, because they assume that you don't understand the car buying process. They assume any woman doesn't understand the car buying process, right? And so it's an insult, because you guys are very intelligent women. I'm pretty sure you can figure it out, but you know, why am I being prejudged because I'm a woman or a Black woman, that you think I don't know anything, and then you try to get over on me because of that? That it's the most disrespectful thing out there. And so, which is one of the reasons I got out of the car dealership world, because I felt dirty a lot of times. I tell a story about, I used to work in finance, and understand finance managers make no money when the dealership sells a car. The sales manager makes money, but the finance manager doesn't. They have to sell you additional stuff to make their money, whether it be service contracts, extended warranties, you know, tire protection, all that type of stuff, low jack. They sell you that stuff in finance, and they add that money to your deal, and that's how they make their profit, because all those items have huge profit margins on them. So, and typically the finance manager is the best closer in the dealership because of that. So, you know, when you get someone who comes into finance, sales has already, you know, stretched that deal to its limits. They made all the money they can up front with that person, and now you're expected to put more money on top of that deal. And I used to work in a subprime environment. You know, people challenge credit, and you know what? A single mom with 2 or 3 kids is already in trying to get a car. Her other car broke down. She needs another one. She doesn't have great credit. She doesn't have any leverage, so she's forced to take whatever we give them. And I have to sell more stuff to her, or I don't make any money. And some days I just go home and say to myself, that lady is going to default on that deal. I guarantee that's going to be a repo, because she couldn't afford the first payment, and she definitely can't afford the payment after all the stuff that I just sold her in finance. And it's a bad feeling. So ultimately I got out of that environment, and I went over to the auto finance side from the banking side. And so now I'm the person who makes the decisions, or not the only person, but you know, my team are the ones who make the decisions as the underwriters as to, are we going to approve this deal, or are we not going to approve this deal? So that's, I explain that because I want people to understand that that's the genesis as to why Car Buyer University was created, because it's created to help people understand this process. I'm not saying I'm anti-dealer. The dealership needs to make a certain amount of profit to keep their lights on, okay, to pay their employees. I understand that, but they go after the jugular on profit about certain demographics, things that they would never do to a 40-year-old white male who works on Wall Street. They would never attempt to do certain things to that person that I've seen them do to, you know, minorities or women or young women. Don't be a young woman minority.
Yeah.
You're going to have a problem in that dealership unless you know what you're doing. So there's information designed to help people out. It's very, you know, it's pretty easy. It's pretty basic to understand. And you can literally take it with you to the store and follow it step by step. And you'll be amazed at how that deal works as opposed to another deal. And I'm also trying to educate the younger people. I go to colleges. I have a good friend of mine who's a professor. He called me yesterday. I need you to come back and speak to my new class, because if you get them young, if you will, they understand the process, just like they understand finances a little bit better now because of, you know, our environment with information available to them. they never get themselves that situation where they're, get these bad credit cards, end up with bad debt or bad credit scores and bad credit reports. And then they're forced to take these terrible loans to get a car because everybody needs a car. And then it's just a cycle that never ends.
So what type of services do you offer? Do you do consultations or just digital products, or do you have a course? Do you do speaking engagement? I know you do speaking engagements because you just mentioned that. So if someone's interested in learning more about the car buying process, what are the different methods of education do you offer?
Absolutely. We offer eBooks and courses currently. We're in the works of providing consultation options as well. But right now it's eBooks and courses. And they can get those items at our website, carbuyerU.com. CarbuyerU is also our handle on every social media. So Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, Facebook, it's all CarbuyerU. So you can find information out through there as well. But primarily the eBooks and the courses right now. And the eBooks are very easy to understand. I mean, they're literally step by step. It's very easy to understand. I explain certain things and then I explain the steps on as to why you want to do certain things. And the course, some people prefer to read, some people prefer to watch, right? So the course is effectively the ebook put into a course format with a few more details because I'm able to talk and explain a few things that way. There's a retail book and there's also a lease book as well. The lease book is brand new. We just put that out because as little as people know about the retail car buying process, they know even less about the leasing process. So that can really get people in a bad situation if you don't understand how that lease process works. So I created that as well.
I need all of that. All of it.
I love that. Yeah, so first of all, you've just put out so much information, and I really just want you to drive it home with these 3 tips. I need 3 mindset tips for car buyers walking into the dealership to make sure they get the best deal.
Oh, absolutely. The 3 tips I would give is this: know your credit before you get to the dealership. That is huge. I'm not a credit repair person, okay, but I am a credit expert, okay? Seriously. So understand your credit before you go to the dealership. There's a ton of ways for you to know what your credit is. You can go online to these apps. You can request free copies of your credit report. There's no reason for you to say, I don't know what my credit is anymore. That's just being a little ignorant, okay? A little time, a little, work, you can find out what your credit is. Second is, do not be a payment buyer. Do not walk into a dealership and say, I have $3,000 I want to put down. I need my payment to be $350 a month. You're going to get that if it's possible, but what if you could have gotten $230 a month with $1,000 down? You don't know that because you didn't negotiate the right way. You just came in and showed your entire hand and they say, okay, we'll do this for you. And, thirdly is be prepared to walk away. That car you're looking at, take emotion out of the car buying process. That's what I should say, because that car you're looking at is not the only car in the world. It's not, okay? There's another car either just like it or very similar to it somewhere else that you can probably get just as good a deal or not a better deal if that dealership doesn't want to cooperate and they want to try and just, hammer you and then pull every bit of profit out of you without giving any concessions, without negotiating, without doing any of that. And right now they do that because inventories are low and it's in the dealership's favor. But inventories are starting to come around a little bit and incentives are starting to come back around. So you have a little bit of leverage to do that. But if you have poor credit, you don't have any leverage. Leverage is the word of the day, but those would be the 3 tips.
Oh, that was
That's
good.
great. Yeah. I think I've done the opposite of all of this. As you were going through, like, I didn't do that. So if I didn't do those things, I'm sure so many other people haven't either. So, I mean, those are practical tips. And it seems very simple, but clearly most of us don't apply them. So I'm just so grateful.
And the biggest reason that people, I think, do it the way that you just mentioned is because no one likes to go buy a car. No one likes the process of going to the dealership and buying a car and the haggling and the hassling. People will just prefer to find whatever, can I go? I'll take that deal, can I go? Because they don't want to deal with that. And what I'm saying with my program is, if you understand these certain things, then that process is not the same, because you walk into that dealership lot feeling completely different because you have information. You walk in with your shoulders back, knowing that I know what's coming, as opposed to I don't know what's coming. And that's why we walk in hesitant and tentative and a little bit defensive with our guards up, because historically we know, oh, you walk into a dealership lot, you know, they're going to try to get over on you. They're going to try to do this. One thing I need people to understand is this: almost every dealership at this point is owned by a corporation. Very few mom and pop stores out there. And these corporations like AutoNation or Sonic or Berkshire Hathaway, yes, that Berkshire Hathaway by Warren Buffett, they own a car dealership arm as well. And these are multi-billion dollar organizations. They are not going to risk, okay, lawsuits and fines and everything else to scam you out of $1,000 or to scam you out of $2,000. It's not going to happen. They are going to position themselves to make as much profit as they can legally, but no one is trying to scam you out of a few $1,000 if you're at a normal licensed dealership. You go to some independent lot, Joe's car lot or whatever is on the corner, I don't know what's going to happen there. But if you go to a regular car lot, right, a brand franchise car lot, they're not going to do anything illegal to take money from you. So if you understand the process, then you go in feeling a lot more confident, and then you don't have those feelings of apprehension. Your guard needs to stay up because you want to make sure that they're telling you the right thing, but you don't need to be so apprehensive that you just want to get out of there and you'll take any deal so you can get off the dealership lot.
Yeah, that's key right there. I love that. That's key. You've brought so many gems to even people who are considering buying a car, think about buying a car. I mean, even without individually, working with you, you leave this episode with so much more information than you probably started with. But the one thing about CJ is that he always goes, above and beyond. You can truly tell that he wants to help and educate you. So he created this really dope PowerPoint that we're going to link into the description. So if you want to get some more information, please go there. And also we're going to have all of your contact information. But just for the people, run your socials again and how we can contact you.
Absolutely. Car Buyer U is the social handle that you can reach us at on any platform. You can reach us if you want to send me an email. You can reach me at carbuyeruniversity@gmail.com, or you can go to carbuyerU.com. That is our website as well, where you can go and see the products. And I encourage everyone to go click on that link in your bio to see that spreadsheet breakdown. And there's also a special offer in there. Okay, there's a special offer in there that will be live for about 2 weeks after the episode airs. And it is a fantastic offer. I encourage everyone to go jump on it because it will not last forever. But I will tell you, you will get our digital course, our retail ebook, and our lease ebook for $24. And all three, typically each of those is at least $20. I'm going to give all three for $24. I will set the link up. It will be available again for 2 weeks after the episode airs. And I encourage everyone to go jump on that and get that information, because it's going to help you or help someone down the road who gets a car, because you're going to need another car at some point in your life. And I just encourage people to take off the certain level of thinking that everything. Is like, I'm trying to help. All right, let me help, because this information can save you thousands of dollars. So my question is, would you invest $24 if you can save even $1,000? Would you invest $24 if you can save $3,000? Okay, who knows how much you might save based on your particular situation? But I promise you this, it will be 5-10 times more than $24.
That's it. That's the one. Well, thank you so much, Corinne. You got anything?
The only I have a suggestion. If you could create one of those things where I can put you in my ear, like I'm at the dealership, like CJ, he's saying the interest rate is this. What do you think? That's what I was thinking all the time. Is like when I walk into a dealership, I need them in here just so I can check. I read the digital products, but I just need you here live. That would be perfect. But other than that, this was awesome. I learned a lot, and I definitely am going to purchase your digital products because I am also looking to buy a new car. And you made a good point about not people wanting to get out of there. I didn't think about other buyers, but I get anxiety around the car buying process. I know it can be expensive. I don't know if I'm getting scammed, ripped off. And so I just kind of want to let them know what I can afford. Don't give me anything more expensive. Give me the car. You have that one. Cool. It drives. Cool. I'm out. And then you leave and it's not exactly what you wanted, but I kind of felt like that's just the way it works, unless I'm wealthy and I can just handpick any car. But you really just this session alone has taught me a lot. So I'm definitely going to learn more about Car by You, what you have to offer, and so that I can make my next purchase more intelligently.
Absolutely. Thank you very much. I appreciate that.
Yes. Well, thank you so much, CJ. Thank you for coming in and sharing not only your expertise, just your intelligence, your mindset tips, and of course, you know, your products and your services and your mission, honestly, your mission. So, you know, we just want to say thank you so much for joining Womenomics. I heard this is your first podcast. You did amazing.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Many more, and thank you so much, y'all. We are signing out. It's another Womenomics Wednesday. Corinne.
Bye. That's all I got.
Womenomics podcast.
Womenomics podcast.
Womenomics podcast.